All right, now we're going to look at dividing monomials. If you are not sure about the quotient rule, please watch my video or someone else's video on how that works first, because we are going to do that. And I don't want to re-explain the quotient rule here. Okay, we're just taking it, we're leveling it up, next level. Okay, it says when dividing monomials with like bases, like base means same variable, we're going to first reduce or divide the coefficient, and then we're going to subtract the exponents on the variable, just like we did with the quotient rule. Okay, so if this fraction here did not have an x, we would know what to do, right? 12 divided by 4 is just 3, right? So those cancel, and that leaves a 3. Now this x, there's no other x's on the bottom, so there's nothing we can do with that x. It's just going to be x. So our answer is just 3x. Okay, let's look down here at the next example. If I did not have the variables, it would be 50 divided by 10. Well, we know the zeros cancel, right? And now I'm left with 5 divided by 1, which is just 5. Okay. Now, I still have an x and a y here, and there's nothing, no x or y on the bottom, so we would just write xy next to the 5, and that would be our answer. Okay. Now, let's get some variables in the bottom. Okay, we have 20, a cubed divided by a squared. So if we got rid of the a's, I would just have 20 divided by 1. Well, 20 divided by 1 is just 20. Okay, now I have a cubed divided by a squared. And if you watch the quotient rule video, you'll see why we can subtract those exponents. So 3 minus 2, so I have a to the 3 minus 2 is 1. So I have 20. A to the 1, but do I need to write a 1? No, I don't. It's just assumed to be 1 if there's no exponent there. All right, let's do the next one. 18b squared divided by b to the 5th. So if we cover up these variables, I just have 18 divided by 1, okay, which is just 18. All right, cross that off. Now I have b squared divided by b to the 5th. So if I do my quotient rule, 2 minus 5 is minus 3, so I have 18b to the minus 3. Okay, now I did show before in the other video that if you had b squared, b times b, divided by b to the 5th, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, these would cancel, and I'd be left with 3 b's on the bottom. Okay, so I did not leave myself room, did I? 1 over b to the 3, okay? So you see we have b to the minus 3. b to the minus 3 is the same as 1 over b to the 3. So it really depends on your teacher and what they're requiring. Oh, sorry, that was probably out of frame. Okay, which way they want you to express the answer, as a negative exponent or as a fraction where your variable is on the bottom. All right, so do what your teacher asks you to do. Next, we're going to do 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Okay, and then I'm going to cover those up. I've got c3 divided by c squared. Our quotient rule says we can subtract the exponents. 3 minus 2 is 1. So I have c to the 1, which is the same as c. Okay, let's cover that up. 12 divided by 10. Well, I can't divide that and get a whole number, so now we're going to have to reduce it like a fraction. What are the common factors of 12 and 10? Well, they're both even, so we know 2 goes in. So 12 divided by 2 is 2. And 10 divided by 2, oh, that's not 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. See, even teachers make mistakes. Okay, 10 divided by 2 is 5. And now I have a squared divided by a squared. Well, that's the same, right? That should just be 1. A squared divided by a squared is just 1. All right, so my answer is going to be 6 on the top and 5 on the bottom. All right, 5x divided by 25x. Okay. So we can have 5x. If it helps, we can write it this way, 25x. All right, 5 divided by 25 is not going to give me a whole number, so I'm going to reduce it like a fraction. What do they have in common? They have 5. So 5 divided by 5 is just 1, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. Okay, and now I have x divided by x. Well, those cancel each other out, and I'm just left with 1 over 5. Okay, now I have g squared over 7g. So if I look here at my numbers, remember if there's no coefficient, it means the coefficient is 1. So I just have 1 over 7, and that's can't reduce. And then if I cover up my numbers, I have g squared divided by g. If there's no exponent, the exponent's 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So I'm just going to have g left. All right, so what I have left is 1 over 7, and then I have 1g on the top. Now 1g, I don't have to write 1g. I can just write that as g. So I end up with g over 7 as my final answer.